What was our name again? Fortified. Welcome to Fortified Gaming. Today we're talking about PlayStation, Xbox One.
So let's start with PS4 and our thoughts on how it went with the conferences first.
Okay, PS4 and Sony definitely had the better conference. They got to go second, which is always better because you get to change last minute stuff depending on what Microsoft did in their first conference. The price point was probably the highlight of the conference, dropping $100 cheaper than Xbox One. It was just that's going to be the big difference between how many boxes are sold between the two. At first, is going to be the price.
Well, I thought PS4, Sony had the best conference out of all of them. Not fanboying or anything, but the way Sony did everything. Calm down. The way Sony presented all the games and how not the games per se, but the ending of the conference and how they just ripped Microsoft a new one by being like, it's $3.99 instead of $4.99, and then they said you can use games.
Yeah, he was waiting for that moment because as soon as he said that the DRMs they didn't say it was up to third party at the time, but as soon as they said that you will be able to trade in games and play with your friends and stuff like that, he knew that was going to be a big difference a big point in the conference, and everybody started cheering, and he was just smiling like for 30 seconds straight. He knew that at that point they beat Microsoft at least at E3.
I mean they like shredded Microsoft a new one at that conference with the ending of the whole conference. But then you get to Microsoft conference that did show a lot of cool games, not per se of the system itself because they did that like a month ago, but they did show a lot of cool games like Titanfall and what was it? Dead Rising 3. It's called, and they did show a lot. But the thing about Microsoft is they didn't talk about their DMR policies about trading games until after E3 when everyone started complaining about the Xbox.
Well, they said during the conference that there's no trading in games. It's the one person. You can give it to one other person, and then they can never give it to anybody else, and you can't get it back. And stuff like that. But
not such a good policy.
No one liked that, and you knew
No.
You can't just do that to people, like take away the trading in, because that's what a lot of people pay for their game. Not everybody has the money right off the bat to buy a $60 brand new game. They trade in older games that they don't play anymore, and use the trading money to get those games. So when they did that, they lost a lot of customers, but I guess 2 weeks of straight complaining from people.
That's because everyone's like, oh, Sony, and we're like, gotta fix that.
Yeah, everybody, I don't know, as soon as that happened, and all of that happened over the next 2 days after E3 was over, is everybody becoming Sony fans and saying, I'm getting a PS3, and pictures of people turning in their 360s at GameStop and getting PS3s, and playing The Last of Us and Uncharted and Infamous and all these Sony's exclusives and Xbox.
So what we come down to is who won E3? Do you say Sony because they just came at Microsoft like that, or do you say Microsoft because even though Microsoft had these bad policies, they're still fixing the Xbox, and I mean Microsoft could still potentially come back up.
At the time of the conference, Sony won, and I think as of now, it's a lot closer now that they changed their policies. Because Xbox did have more exclusives than Sony did. They got a lot of big names, a lot of games that used to be multi-platform, like Dead Rising, are now Xbox only. Titanfall could be really good, even though it's not a launch title. They have Halo 5 coming out sometime 2014, 2015.
Well, the Halo saga. It's not the Halo trilogy anymore, but there are those Xbox fanboys that are going to be. We're going to get an Xbox regardless, and
that's it's not like choosing one console over the other at this point. I mean, I'm getting both at some point anyway, because there are games on Xbox I want to play. I want to play Dead Rising 3. I want to play Titanfall. Those games look really good, but so do Killzone, and so does Infamous Second Son, and whatever Naughty Dog does next, Uncharted 4, Jack and Daxter reboot, whatever it is. There's games for both consoles that are exclusives that you're going to want to play. So I think at this point, Sony won the conference, and Sony is still ahead, but after Xbox changed the DRMs, all the people who were thinking about switching to Sony maybe aren't now, since they're relatively very similar consoles at this point. So I guess we're going to have to wait till launch day and see how it pans out over the few months after it releases.
So in conclusion, Xbox One...
Thank you, Alex, for your opinions!
Alright. Xbox One has the games, but PlayStation has the console. Which is basically what it is.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Kind of, but there is a debate that now you will be able to see that PS4 and Xbox One have way different graphics, but that's not the case. I think the case that comes down to it now is like what system is going to give the overall better experience for gaming, because
and it's hard to tell at this point because you got a little bit of hands-on at E3, you got a couple demos and things like that, but you don't really know until you play it for an extended period of time, which no one's really been able to do yet. So it's going to come down to the launch. And at launch time, my prediction is Sony is going to be ahead for the first couple months after launch. And then once we start getting into that first window, the spring, summer of the consoles being released, when games like Titanfall and stuff like that come out and the consoles really start to battle, it's going to be close to see who's going to be ahead after the first.
Is Titanfall for both Xbox and
PlayStation?
PlayStation?
Titanfall's exclusive.
But in the end, I feel like it's just going to be the next gen. People will have both systems eventually, and people are going to play
It's
them.
the same with the
It's gonna be-
PlayStation
So
3 and
right now,
Xbox.
it depends on who's going to come out on top. I think it's going to be Sony for the beginning for the holiday season, but who knows? Microsoft, after doing this DRM, could surprise us and everyone.
There's plenty of
It's an
time for
Xbox.
both systems to change certain stuff. New games can still be announced, up and coming.
Yeah, because
We
with
got-
games, we don't have a lot of big launches for the PS4 right off the bat. I mean, Infamous is coming out
Infamous
later
isn't
in
until the spring.
2014, and then we've got
Launch titles are Battlefield 4, which is multi-console, Ghosts, which is multi-console, Killzone's a launch title that's PS4 exclusive, Knack, which looks okay. It's not the most fantastic looking or playing game ever. It's very narrow, hallway-esque. Go down here, fight these people, move on to the next
very
area. do the same
linear,
thing.
very linear.
Then Xbox One has Rise, Son of Rome, which is the same type of thing, very linear.
looked
Looks
good.
really good. It's still very linear. They have Dead Rising 3, which looks pretty good. Open world, no loading times between areas.
Dead Rising
That's going to be a
looks
pretty good game. Titanfall, like Infamous, is going to be the spring game, so it's going to come down between games like that to see who becomes the top system after the first couple months of being released.
We're Fortified Gaming. Like and subscribe on the bottom, and give us your comments about what do you guys think about PlayStation and Xbox, and let us know. Subscribe.